Joining me now is former Congressman and co-chair of the Biden-Harris campaign, Cedric Richmond. Congressman, it's good to have you here. First, I'd like to get your immediate reaction to the news of 4 more House Democrats that are calling for Biden to step aside.
Thanks for having me. I would reiterate what Congresswoman Frederica Wilson said, that we shouldn't be spending time talking about that. We should be spending time talking about the threat that Donald Trump poses, and she urged her colleagues to get their priorities in order. But you also had Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Lisa Blunt Rochester, all recently come out and show support for the president. So while we respect our colleagues, I would just side with what Frederica Wilson said, and we need to remind people the threat that Donald Trump poses, not just for 4 years, but for generations. Supreme Court is at risk. Women's rights are at risk. Civil rights are at risk. And I would just remind people of that.
Yeah, and for our viewers, Congressman, I do want to repeat what Frederica Wilson said, because I agree with you. I think it is important, her messaging. She said, quote, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris defeated Donald Trump in 2020, and they are the Democratic ticket that will do so again this year. Any, quote, leader calling for President Biden to drop out needs to get their priorities straight and stop undermining this incredible actual leader who has delivered real results for our country. I mean, Congressman, you've seen President Biden out on the campaign trail in Pennsylvania today. He's meeting with the voters, the people that actually make the difference in November. Here's what he had to say. Take a very quick listen, please.
While there are those who want to erase history, Kamala and I want to make it, because black history is American history. I tell you what, Dark Brandon's coming back. He's here. And guess what? The next 120-some days or so, they're going to get a real good look at who Donald Trump is. We're the most powerful country in the world. We have the best economy in the world. But now we got to make sure that we start taking care of the families like Jill and I grew up.
I mean, Congressman, he looks good, sounds good, delivering the right messaging. So despite facing these calls to step down, he's out there making his own case on the campaign trail. What's the strategy moving forward, then, to continue to reassure voters?
He's going to continue to be out there. He's going to hold his rallies. He will talk to voters. And notice it's the chattering class, it's the donor class, it's the elites that you hear this distraction from. But what we're going to do is focus on those people who are going to the polls in November, make sure we continue to organize, make sure we continue to talk about the historic accomplishments of the Biden-Harris team. We will continue to organize. We will continue to open field offices. We will continue to do those things that actually make you win an election. And you're going to see him and you're going to see the vice president out there making a case for why, one, they deserve to be reelected, but two, the threat that Donald Trump poses to our democracy.
You and other campaign co-chairs were on the call with the president yesterday. What was his message to all of you and for the country?
That he's energized. He understands the stakes are high. He understands that the debate was not his best performance. But also that actions speak louder than words. And so while a debate is all talk, his deeds while he's been in the White House, Ketanji Brown Jackson reducing black child poverty by 50%, reducing child poverty by 50%. Black unemployment is at an all-time low. Black entrepreneurship is at an all-time high. If you look at the economy, if you look at wealth, if you look at all of those indicators, this president has been doing a great job, deserves to be reelected. And then on the other hand, Donald Trump is talking about a tax break for the top 1% in corporations, which I want to remind your voters, your listeners, they pay for. Every time we give a tax break to the top 1% in corporations, working families in this country pay for it. President Biden wants to further reduce taxes on those who make under $400,000. And so it's a clear contrast of the values of the two men. President Biden values working people. Donald Trump has no values, zero values. He is void of values. He is morally bankrupt, and we're going to make that case.
And part of that moral bankruptcy actually tags along with this idea of Project 2025. Conveniently, Trump trying to distance himself from Project 2025, but we know that it was written for, tailor-made for Trump and a second Trump presidency. What's the Biden-Harris campaign doing to amplify the direct line, the direct through line from Project 2025 to Donald Trump?
Well, the way we know it's Donald Trump's plan is the fact that he denied it, because when his lips are moving, he's lying. And so it's a plan created for him by those people closest to him. And that plan is extreme, but it's taken out of what he says is his rallies. It would give him almost absolute power. He can go after his enemies. He can take rights of citizens away. He can get rid of civil service and put Trump people all throughout government. He wants to abolish the Department of Education. Those things should scare the American voters. We have a responsibility, and we will educate voters on what his extreme agenda is and what Project 2025 means to them.
You know, there's been some that have suggested that Vice President Kamala Harris moved to the top of the ticket, and yet she has said publicly, openly, that she supports President Biden. We've also heard other names like Gretchen Whitmer and Gavin Newsom being bandied about. But, Congressman, you and I both know they've also publicly said they support a Biden-Harris ticket. When it comes to specifically, though, Vice President Harris, do you think her campaign role needs to be even bigger during this kind of critical time for Joe Biden?
Well, we saw the night of the debate. I saw her. She was down at the Essence Festival in New Orleans talking to 30, 40,000 people down there. She is increasing her role, and she's been a valued partner since day one. I won't get into whether she's been covered fairly by the press, but she is a valuable partner. She's incredibly intelligent, and I would just say she has not only publicly stated her support for President Biden, she's privately said that, too. I was with Gavin Newsom after the debate when he did the same, and Gretchen Whitmer was on the chair's call yesterday, and she reiterated her support. Leaders are rallying around this president and vice president because they understand what's at stake and they understand what they have accomplished.
Hey there, MSNBC fans. I'm Luke Russert, and be sure to join me, Rachel Maddow, Jen Psaki, Lawrence O'Donnell, Steve Kornacki, Joy Reid, and many more September 7th in Brooklyn, MSNBC Live Democracy 2024. Click on the link for ticket information. We will see you there.